The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of November 13th. We're calling the meeting to order. Under presentations this evening, we have none. Could I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda as presented? Councillor Clark. Seconded by Councillor Cernick. Ready for the question? All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, could I have a motion, please, to accept the minutes of the meeting held on October 23rd? Councillor Ford, seconded by Councillor Froba. Ready for the question? All in favor? Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have, first of all, from the Fire Underwriter Survey supporting Canada's volunteer firefighters. So 71% of firefighters in the country are part-time. That's more than 90,000 firefighters. This essential profession no longer attracts these valiant workers we desperately need because of their low pay, if any. It's only their passion that motivates them, protecting our communities. But that's no longer enough in today's inflationary world. Their remuneration often consists of an annual tax credit of $3,000 when they fight a minimum of 200 hours per year. When they exceed that threshold, the tax credit actually decreases. Please take a minute to sign this petition proposed by the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs to the Government of Canada to support Bill C-310's amendments to the Income Tax Act to increase the amount of the tax credit from $3,000 to $10,000. So what's the wish of council on this? Councillor Frank?
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I would support anything they're looking to do for our volunteer firefighters. I don't think people in the community, well, I'm sure they do realize, and I know everybody very much loves our volunteer fire department, but to realize the massive increase in cost it would be to the city if we had to go to a full-time fire department is incredible, as well as just a huge thanks to all the businesses in town that allow their employees to go and fight fires, sometimes on wage and things like that, or let them off for the day to go and do that. That's something that keeps our volunteer fire department alive. So yeah, I would definitely support this, and huge gratitude to our volunteer firefighters because it is very important for our community.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Frank. Councillor Walliser.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm also in favor of us supporting this initiative. Thanks to the city manager and the deputy fire chief in our community. We have 23 volunteers, and 15 to 8 of them would reach that 200-hour threshold where they would then use the tax credit. So very important to our fire department.
Okay, so was that a motion, Councillor Frank, and a seconder to support this? Sure. Okay. Councillor Walliser. Okay. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none. Ready for the question? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have the 2024 suggested council meeting schedule. Now that has been given to all of you. What's your thoughts, comments? And if you're all happy with it, do we have a motion to move forward? Thank you, Councillor Cerny. Seconded by Councillor Ford. Any further comments? Councillor Walliser.
Worship, the only date that I was a little concerned with was following the return from FCM. It looks like the conference ends on a Sunday and council would meet Monday. Would that cause any trouble for the people traveling?
What was your thought, City Clerk?
Your Worship, to Councillor Walliser, they're in Calgary this year, so I don't see that being an issue, but it could be. I don't know. We could take it out, or we could move it forward, but then you're doing two back-to-backs, so it's kind of whatever council feels necessary.
Yeah, I guess we can maybe look at that, Councillor Walliser, and if it is going to be an issue, we'll move that particular date maybe to the Tuesday for that one time. We could look at doing that. We'll have lots of notice to do that anyway, before that FCO. So if you like, the motion could read that, we all agree with it, other than that date, which if it's going to be an issue, we'll change it. Okay, would you make that motion?
I will.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a seconder, Councillor Frank? Okay, any further discussion, comments? Saying that, ready for the question? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, under written reports of committees, we have first of all from the Southeast Regional Library Trustee Telegraph and Strat Plan. Could we have a motion, please, to accept that? Councillor Brogan. Seconded by Councillor Ford. Thank you. Any comments, questions you want to make on that, Councillor Brogan?
Thank you, Worship. Just that get out and check out your library, because honestly, there's very much people are involved in libraries, are passionate about what we do there. There's a lot of programming, especially in these trying times. You'd be amazed. And every time you check out a book or you go there and do a program, when you use your library card, you get a receipt and it'll show you how much money you save just by using your library. So you'll be amazed if you save those receipts by the end of the year, how much your family can save by utilizing what that library has to offer you. So I just encourage that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Brogan, for that. Ready for the question? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, under written reports of committees, we have from the Estevan Public Library, the minutes of October 17th. Could we have a motion, please, to accept those? Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Walliser. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, ready for the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, from the Estevan Art Gallery and Museum, the minutes of September 5th. Could we have a motion, please, for that? Councillor Surna. Seconded by Councillor Broba. Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under written reports of committee, we have from the South Valley Museum, the minutes of October 18th. Thank you. Councillor Ford, seconded by Councillor Clark. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under written reports of committees, we have the Estevan Humane Society minutes of July 24th and August 21st and September 18th. Is that okay, City Clerk, if we go with all that?
Please, Your Worship.
Okay, what's the wish of council? Do we have a motion for all of those? Thank you, Councillor Groba, seconded by Councillor Wallington. Ready, any comments, questions? Seeing none, ready for the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, next, under executive reports, we have from our safety officer, the reasonable suspicion policy amendments, which were in your package. What's the wish of council on these? Councillor Turner?
Make a motion to approve it.
Okay, thank you for that. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Ford, thank you. Okay, ready for the question? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, under executive reports, we have the water quality report from September. Treated a total of 102,148,500 liters of water, up 98,523,400 liters into the distribution system for the month. No plant upsets, all regulated parameters for the drinking water were met. This month we had a water security agency inspection, which went well. No operational issues. Everything is in good working order. We have one long-standing deficiency with the amount of storm and sanitary sewer lines we have crossed in the city. We have plans to address it whenever we can get the funding, the federal and provincial funding to complete the project. Under Water Security Agency guidelines, we are to inform the owner, council, of breaks within the distribution system. We operate under a self-governing approved process to ensure breaks are repaired correctly and public safety is ensured. There were no water breaks for the month of October. Okay, do we have a motion to accept this report? Thank you, Councillor Ford, seconded by Councillor Frank. Questions or comments? Councillor Clark, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Ward. Do we have a year over year how our water breaks are doing this year compared to last year, or is that?
In our report, we have those, but if you'd like a congregate, we could definitely get you those. How many water breaks to date?
Certainly, yeah, it just seems like we've had a lot fewer now, and I think that's probably kind of with some of the work we're doing in the areas. I think it's a good thing that that's happening. So I think it'd be just nice to know.
Yeah, okay, we can do that. Thanks to the good works of the city manager and all of our managers actually working together. We have taken care of the worst areas first. So as we progress, you're right, it's getting less and less, which is a good thing. Absolutely. Okay, did we get a motion for that? I think we had the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next under executive reports, we have the building permit report for September. Could we have a motion, please, for that? Thank you, Councillor Walliser. Seconded by Councillor Clark. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, ready for the question? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under introduction of bylaws, we have bylaw 23-2076, Gesundheit bylaw to regulate buildings in the city of Estevan. Tonight, we'll give that first reading and allow our public to give that some thought, and we'll bring it back in a few weeks. So do we have a motion for bylaw 2023-2076, a bylaw to regulate buildings in the city of Estevan? Councillor Vroba?
Thank you, Worship. So yes, I'll make the motion that we public look it over for a couple of weeks and accept it. I was just wondering though, normally when we do the bylaws, it's highlighted in yellow or it kind of shows us what changes. This one didn't have that. Is this just something we're kind of doing to update, or was there just minor changes? Because I did read through it, but it was very hard to decide what was actually changed.
Okay, Richard is here tonight.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Matt is here tonight. Matt, did you have any questions or comments? Matt?
Thanks, Worship. So the changes where there's going to be the service fees, deposits, and construction valuations are now all going to be moved into the service fees bylaw. And then there's some legislative changes basically because it all got switched over from the UBAS agreement to Construction Codes Act. So that's all being changed to follow that. And then we just have some demo permits are going to be reduced down to 45 days instead of 6 months for an expiry date. Moving permits are down to 30 days instead of 6 months. And then there's some outlines about permit extensions of how they'll be available with this building bylaw because there's not been indicated in that before. And yeah, it just states about how the act references the Construction Codes Act instead of the Uniform Building Accessibility Standards Act.
Thank you for explaining that. It all sounds very interesting and it was all good changes.
Okay, thank you, Matt, for that. So Councillor Vroba, you made the motion. Have we got a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cernan. Okay, ready for the question? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, under public hearing and report, we have none this evening. Giving notice? No notice this evening. Motions from committee? We have none coming tonight. Consideration of bylaws? Excuse me, we have bylaw 2023-2075, Estevan Board of Police Commissioners, And this will consist of adding a chairperson and tonight we will do second and third readings. So bylaw 2023-2075, a bylaw in the city to establish a board of police commissioners. So basically, the changes will be Board of Police Commissioners for the city of Estevan be and is hereby established, consisting of mayor, 2 other members of council, 2 members at large to be appointed annually. Each of the 6 councillors are eligible for appointments to the board for a 2-year period. So we moved that already to 2 years. The appointment of the 2 members of council and the 2 members at large, other than the mayor, as mentioned above, will be by a resolution of council. The term of appointment shall be January 1st to December 31st of the year following the appointment. The members of the board, other than the mayor, shall be appointed annually for a 2-year term. So you would think it would be every 2 years for the 2-year term. We might want to change that. From January 1st to 31st of the year following the appointment, council may reappoint a member of the board for a further term. Where a board member who holds office as a member of council loses office as a member of council, that board member also loses office as a board member on the police board. Where a vacancy occurs on the board, the council, within 1 month of the occurrence of the vacancy, shall appoint a person to replace a former board member for the remaining term of the former board member. The chairperson and vice chairperson. The board shall appoint one of its members to be chairperson and another member to be vice chairperson. Illness or inability to act, where a board member other than the mayor is ill or otherwise unable to perform their duties, council may appoint a person to act during the illness or inability of that board member. Where the mayor is ill or otherwise unable to perform the mayor's duties, the person appointed as presiding officer of council shall act instead of the mayor and shall fulfill the duties and may exercise all the powers conferred on the mayor pursuant to the act. Quorum in meetings, 3 board members, at least one of which must be a member of city council and at least one of which must be a member at large, shall constitute a quorum. The board shall hold its meetings open to the public, except the board may meet in camera to consider any of the following matters: contract negotiations, personnel matters, reports and opinions from a solicitor for the board, reports from the Public Complaints Commission, and reports relating to security and to specific police operations, which a board decides should be considered in private. That the aforesaid board shall be known as the Estevan Board of Police Commissioners, that the said Estevan Board of Police Commissioners shall have all the powers, authority, and duties as provided by said Police Act. Bylaw 2021-2049 is hereby repealed in its entirety. The bylaw shall come into force and take effect upon passing. Read a first time this 21st day of October. Read a second time this day, and I guess that will be changed because we're giving it the first reading today. Second, I'm sorry. I guess that was right. Okay, motion for second. Councillor Grover.
I was just going to say about the annual thing in there. I believe the reason why it states annually is because in the police act, you actually are supposed to have it annually, but yes, and so, but we as a council had decided that for consistency, it would be best to have every 2 years, because there was a time where we had the same member on for up to 4 years.
That's right.
So that is why I believe we had done this discussion the last time we changed it, and that's why it says annually, but we still have the 2-year term.
That's right.
So it may not make sense, but it makes sense to us.
Yeah, to give more consistency.
Yeah.
The thought process was to have them in there for 2 years.
Yeah, so I would make the motion to accept the second reading.
Okay, have we got a seconder for that? Okay, Councillor Ford. Okay, any questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, ready for the question? All in favor? Carried. Now, do we have a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 2023-2075 Estevan Board of Police Commissioners adding chairperson? for final adoption and use. Thank you, Councillor Clark, seconded by. Thank you for that, Councillor. I just heard the baby cry. Thank you, Councillor Walliser. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Right away, it makes me scared. I guess my baby was crying. Anyway. Okay, thank you for that. Inquiry, Shelley. Councillor
Thank you,
Rowe.
thank you, your worship, all good. I had a concern from a resident of her back alley on Eva Street, and I've referred them to City Hall, so that just came in today. They'll probably be phoning City Hall tomorrow. Again, as the city manager had asked that inquiries go to City Hall first prior to becoming a councillor concern, so I expressed that to the resident. And then also, I have a concern, and I believe I brought it up before, but I was actually at Affinity this weekend for my grandson's hockey, and there was copious amounts of garbage outside of the rink. When I entered the rink about 11:45, and it's from a bus. So it's basically other hockey teams coming into the city, and then what they're doing is emptying their bus with a couple garbage bags. And I mean, we all had kids in hockey, we all did it. You don't notice it till it's actually your rink they're doing it at. So then they're putting these bags kind of half tied, half falling out in the front by where people smoke. And when you enter the rink, it doesn't look very good. So I entered about 11:45, 1:15, I left the rink, it was still there. So I did call it into the front desk, but the girl said it would take about an hour before they would have time for someone to be able to go out there. So that's around 2.5 hours for people to come into our facility and see that. And I don't know what the answer is. I guess I'm giving that to management to see if there's a way that we could either communicate with the different bus companies, asking them to refrain from having their people do that and somehow take their own garbage, or direct them to where the garbage cans are in the back. If they're open, I don't know if they are, but yeah, it's quite an eyesore. And I don't think putting a garbage can up front to fit those garbage bags is the answer, because we'll have everybody dumping stuff there too. So it's probably something that's going to have to take some creative thinking to get it figured out, but it does look bad, and especially when one of those bags dump or open up, the garbage then dumps, and it looks like we haven't cleaned it for a week, but we all know it was just one team stopping off. So
Okay, thank you, Councillor Grover. That's a good point. Maybe we could contact all the traveling teams that use buses with the proper receptacle where that may be in our facility, so they can dispose of it properly rather than leave it out in a walkway.
yeah, because honestly, like my son went through the hockey system, and I don't ever remember tying it up and dropping it off at the
I
front
don't
of a rink.
recall that either.
We always looked for a garbage can. And that's why I think if maybe just the answer is letting the bus companies or the teams, it's probably I should say the teams, not the bus companies, letting the teams know where our garbage is so that they can put it out there.
Because it's like a 5-minute walk from where the bus parks around the corner where that large receptacle is, where they could deposit that.
And maybe even a sign that says, "Smile, you're on camera, don't put your garbage here."
I guess.
I don't know, we can find something, but yeah, it doesn't look good, and we had that concern. And when I seen it this weekend myself, that's when I realized the garbage is mainly coming from, again, teams traveling. And I mean, we've all been there, you eat the pizza and everything on the bus, and you want the bus cleaned out before you get back on to travel home. I recognized it right away and thought, there's where our issue's coming from, so.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Broba. That will be addressed. Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Worship. I had a concern from a person in Westview who has a truck and a trailer that they're from a local contractor who appears to have abandoned them on the street. We've gone through the bylaw, the contact there, but it's now been into 3 weeks sitting there, and it actually is they have a truck and a trailer there and another truck further down the street. Just would like to get that process moved, that can be moved. I know they have ticketed it, but it's been in front of this person's house for 3 weeks. It's also where the kids get on for a bus in the morning, and their kids starting to play on that. So just would like to take that to the police board to make sure that that's enforced and that we can deal with that properly.
Absolutely.
I can give you any more details that you need on that, but
okay.
Certainly that person would really like that it be out away from the front of their house. Thank you.
And rightly so. Thank you, Councillor Clark. I'll give the chief a call in the morning. Usually it doesn't take that much time to get something like that addressed. I'll give him a call in the morning and find out what the issue was there, because that should have been dealt before now. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Walliser.
Nothing tonight, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ford?
Thanks, your worship. I had an inquiry about, it was early last week, about putting, I don't know if everyone's seen it in Swift Current, they put the crosswalk, the poppies on their crosswalk
Yes.
painted. But unfortunately, it was a little too short of notice for us to be able
That's
to,
right.
to consider doing that. But I would just like to make the request to the city manager to see if we can get the paint ordered for next year and have it done a little bit early in the season and find the stencils for it as well.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ford. And I know we would have done it had we had enough time. City manager, did you want to address that?
Thank you, Council Worship, your worship, Council Ford. Yeah, so I had seen that request as well. So we did talk to our roads and drainage manager, and they have already started looking at stencils and paint for next year, so we can get it done before the weather gets really bad.
Yeah, it is a great idea and it looks really good. So we'll emulate. Councillor Cernan?
Thank you, worship. While I was enjoying the awesome concert we had there last Thursday, I had inquiries just wondering if that was the new flooring that was used.
It was?
Yeah.
City manager?
Thank you, worship. Yeah, that was the new flooring that was used, and I heard a lot of great comments. I noticed myself it was not as cold on the feet, so we'll see a festival of trees where apparently people are dressed up with a little more less warm footwear even than a concert. So we'll see if it holds up there, but I got some good comments.
I was just gonna say, for Festival of Trees this weekend, you won't need your winter boots on.
Absolutely.
So I was on the floor and toes were good.
Super. Thank you, Councillor Cernan. And that was a while coming, and we thank SEP and the Economic Development Committee for that. And that was a job well done. We'd also now that you brought that up, like to thank everyone that worked so hard to make that concert such a success. I know quite a few of our councillors were there, and we appreciate that. You guys helping out, and all of our managers that helped out, and all of our staff did an absolute tremendous job. We can't thank them enough. So thank you so much for that. Councillor Frank?
Thanks, your worship. That was the only thing I was going to mention, is just I had a lot of people. I wasn't able to make it to the concert, but everybody who went just told me they had a great time. Restaurants were full, hotels were full. I know my parents had some friends down from Saskatoon to go to it. So that's just exactly why we want these concerts, is because they bring people out. They bring people from outside of our community, get people out using our stores and restaurants. And so looking forward to the next one and the one after that, because they are just always a great success. And thanks to all the community that supported it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Councillor Frank. And we appreciate, everyone that came, had a great time. There was very few lineups. So again, our managers did a tremendous job in streamlining that. So it was an evening well spent by everyone that went. So that'll be awesome.
And thanks for that too, because I just thought of that. Make sure we thank all of the staff that, all of our staff that worked very hard to get that going, clean up afterwards, everything. I know they put in a lot of extra hours to make it happen, and we're very grateful for them for doing that.
Yeah, they worked well into the night to get that wrapped up. Councillor Vroma?
Thank you, your worship. Just because we brought up bylaw, could we also look into, there's 2 bicycles on a lamp post, which is on the sidewalk, city property, and it's on 6th Street in front of the Southeast Newcomers, Surge Energy, that building. They've been there for a while. Now I notice that someone's taken the seat. So I just figure if winter's coming and they're going to start disassembling it piece by piece, we probably should have it removed. The other thing is, I think that's a great idea, Councillor Ford, with the poppies. I just wonder if we could also include the local Legion in consult with that, just to make sure that, I know there was one comment on Facebook made that putting a poppy on the ground may not be wanting to have it like where it should be placed, but I think it's a great idea and other cities have done it. So it's probably an okay thing. I just think if we consult our local Legion beforehand, and then we make sure they're involved.
Okay, we'll add that, Councillor Vroma. Okay, do we have a motion to move into committee? Thank you, Councillor Vroma, seconded by Councillor Frank, or did I say Councillor Vroma? Councillor Ford, seconded. I was just talking to Councillor Vroma. Anyway, ready for the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We stand adjourned.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today